Hi, I'm just really quickly going to run you through how SL automated getting the data from Spotify because there's no API, there's no easy way there's a manual way of downloading CSV files per episode, and there is no easy way of pulling data so that you can then do some analysis and very quickly see what's working, what isn't working, where the resonance is, and so on. So this is the end. This is the final outcome. This is for ourselves. We wanted to, before we started pushing out with more episodes, we wanted to do a lot of analysis on what worked, what didn't. And then we wanted to, as a result of that, have a dashboard. This dashboard can not only tell us what's happening, but also tell us where to go in terms of content, future content, and so on. So that's the outcome. And here is how SL did it. Now, the links to this collab are shared in the description below. But in essence, what you do is you install a series of packages that allow you to mimic user behavior and do what you would have to do manually. So if you were going to pull all of this manually, you'd have to click into each one of these and then click onto the analytics and then export it to a CSV, and then you'd have it. So this is very early days. We haven't actually started promoting any of this stuff. So I'm not too worried about the zeros, but that's what you'd have to do. And you can tell that if you get to a position where you have 20, 30, maybe more episodes live on your Spotify channel, if you've been consistent and you've been pushing out an audience, that's going to be a significant amount of work over time. So what this collab does, it literally mimics what I've just done. And you install these packages, they allow you to do that. Then you configure the Selenium WebDriver. And the most important part of the step is you automate the Spotify login and Google authentication. So it is kind of important to log in with the email and password. We figured out Google authentication. So email and password is the most robust way of doing the login. So you go into your Spotify for Creators account, you put in your email, you hit continue, and then add your password and log in. And that then allows you to mimic the steps of clicking and doing that CSV download that I showed you a few minutes ago. And in step 6 is where the magic happens. So you navigate to each single episode page and download the CSV file. Then there is a loop which does that for all of the episodes. And then the final piece is to combine all that downloaded data into one data frame. Now, think of a data frame as literally just a very large table. And we've added in a bunch of sanitization steps so that things like times are stored in the right format. And everything is written into a Google Sheet like this, which you can then either choose to push into BigQuery if you're going to go down that route, or you can just plug in your Looker Studio straight into this Spotify data Google Sheet. And that'll work perfectly fine, unless you're really crushing it, in which case you need to go down the BigQuery route. And the last thing that happens in this flow is an automatic email is sent with the link to the Google Sheets, so we know the job has succeeded effectively. and that comes in on a daily basis. And you can see it here. The great thing about this is, at least in our view, is we now have all of the actionable data to do with our content performance, our primary channel performance like YouTube, LinkedIn, everything. We're able to push everything into one central dashboard. And by automating that process, we're able to do the same thing for Spotify. And we can then start seeing these mini trends. And we wanted to make sure we had all the numbers beforehand before we started to push out with active promotion. That's just how we've chosen to work on this thing. So hopefully this script and collab workbook is helpful to you, and it allows you to achieve the same thing. So you can start reporting back on the success of your podcast episodes in this collaborative and shared way. Thank you for watching, and hopefully this has been useful. See you on the next one.